Okay, so in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how you can deploy a MERN stack project online using Dokploy. So let's get started. If you're looking for cheap hosting, then let me introduce Hostinger. Using their virtual private servers, you can host any website, whether that's a PHP, React, Next.js, or MERN stack website, and using my link in the description below, or by adding question mark referral code is equal to swebdev, then pressing enter, you can get a extra discount, as you can see here, on the prices that are available. And I've made a bunch of different tutorials on how to host your website online using Hostinger, because they not only give you different locations from where to host your website, they also give you all these applications that you can individually install to manage your hosting. Also different kinds of panels. The easiest one is Dokploy in my opinion. And if you just want to manually do everything, then you can install any of these as well. But my personal recommendation would be Dokploy to easily just do this. So use the link in the description below to get a 20% discount. When you apply my code like this and choose one of the plans, you will see that you will get an extra 20% discount, okay? And a free domain for 1 year as well included in this. Or if you want to lessen your plan, you can choose a lesser option as well to decrease the price, okay? And you'll still get a 20% discount, okay? It's also a great way to support the channel as well and put your first website online. Okay, now back to the video. So I've already installed Dokploy. It's super simple. Just go to your OS panel after you've purchased your VPS. And while purchasing your VPS, you can also do this. So here you will see in operating systems the control panel, okay, and select Dokploy for this, okay. And the process is super simple. You just click this, and what it will do is it will tell you that it will install Dokploy, and also it will ask you to put in a password. You can ask it to generate the password. It's super simple, but remember to save the password somewhere. After that, it will install Dokploy and set it up for you. So I've already done mine. After that, if you go into overview, you'll also see a section like this, and then you can just click manage panel. So you'll see something like this, okay? And go into projects, and inside of projects, here, go to create project. You will create project. You can call this MERN or whatever you want. Give it a description and tag as well. Click create, and you'll be inside of this. So here, what you're going to do is set up the application. So you will set up two applications here. One is going to be the client, okay? And you're gonna click create. And the other one is going to be for the backend, okay? So one for the front end and one for the back server. Okay, so I'll open this and I'll open this. So one is for the client and one is for the server. Now we'll tackle all of this later. First, you need to upload your project to GitHub. So go into GitHub, okay, and click on this and do new repository, okay? Then you'll be shown a page like this. You can call this whatever you want, okay? I'm just calling it this. You can make this public or private. You can add a README file. You can add a .gitignore, and you can add a license, and then, or just keep all of this as is if you're just practicing certain things, and then click create repository. This will create your repository, okay? Then you need to run all of these commands, okay? First, you need to initialize the project, which is gonna be git init, okay? The Git repository is now initialized. Next, go back to your project and let's copy this, add that here. Now your project is linked to your GitHub repo. Next, gonna do this, copy this, run this. Now your branch is the main branch, as you can see. Now I'm gonna clear this, and now you're gonna run a few commands. So git add dot. If you see a problem like this, just run this again. It'll be fine. Okay. Now everything is committed. Now everything is added. Now you need to commit this. So git commit -m, adding files or uploading files, whatever kind of message you want to attach to this, but this will be a message to kind of keep track of what you did at what stage. Okay. So I'm just going to keep it very simple like this. and now all these are committed. Now we need to push these online. So git push -u origin main, and main has to be the same branch that you're on, which is main, as you can see here. If you create a different branch like dev or something else, then you push all the code to that branch rather than the main one. And if you're wondering why you can create two branches or something like that, the main reason is that you have kind of a test branch, and then you have a main branch in which the tested code that has passed through checks is then pushed to your GitHub main branch. Then run this. As you can see, everything got pushed there. Okay, I'm going to clear this. And if I refresh this, you will see all this is added. Actually, one more thing I wanted to add, and that is that before you do all of this, you actually need to create a Docker Compose file, a client file, and then in your client folder, you need to add a Docker file and a Docker file in your server as well. If you're wondering how to do this, if you don't know how to do this, to set it up so that it can be used with Dokploy. It's super simple in the sense that you can just ask your AI to do this, okay? And you will have an AI basically able to do all of this for you, okay? So all this is very simple, okay? And you can literally just ask your AI like create the Docker files for this project. Make sure it can work with Dokploy. If you add a prompt like this, it will create Docker files like this, okay? And yours might be a little bit different, but will be similar to this, okay? I'm not going to run this because I've already made mine, and this was made by AI, by the way. My server is starting on 4,000. No, actually, one more thing I will add here is that, yes, I changed it in my main settings, but I forgot to add it in these. But basically, I'm running this on port 4,000 and 4,500 because your Dokploy is running on port 3,000 and it might cause problems. So run this on any other port that is below 5,000 and above 3,000, okay? Because those ports usually most of the time are free and you can assign anything to them. So that's why I chose port 4,000 for my client folder and then port 4,500 for my backend server folder, okay? And in this I will also change this, so 500, and in my this I will make it 4,000, okay? And just to give you a understanding, this is just setting up the node version, although this should actually be 22 now, okay? I will choose 22, and then node version is going to be 22. Then I'm setting up the work directory, which is app, then copying all the package files into the main, okay? And then I'm running this command npm install, and it will install node for me then. Everything from my project from the main directory into the main directory of the work directory, okay? And then exposing this on port 4,000 and then just starting this by running this command. And it's basically the same for this as well, okay? These are just some Nginx configuration stuff, okay? Which Dokploy will actually handle itself. I don't think you even need to run this. So I'm just gonna comment all of this out, okay? Because I don't really need this. And I'm gonna save this. And then here, I'm just saying that the backend, which is going to be this folder, is going to run on this and assign it to a net, which is the MERN network. And then on the front end, these are like the names you give to services, and you can name them whatever you want. And then on the build is going to be in the client folder. Run this on this port, and this depends on the backend, which is the name of this service. And add this to the MERN network, okay? And then networks, I'm assigning the network, okay? So that's it. That's what these Docker files are. And then next, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to run all of these commands again because I kind of changed this one and this one ports. So I'm not going to show you that one. It's basically the same commands, add, dot, and all of those commands that I just showed you. I'm just going to skip that part because it's the exact same commands. And then you will see everything here, okay? Client, server folder, a git ignore file, and a docker file, okay? The Docker files that Dokploy is actually going to read is going to be in client and server folder, okay? So if I go into actually one of these, you'll see a Docker file like this. This is what it's going to be. And there is a similar file in the server folder. And these are the two files that I'm talking about, okay? These are the ones that Dokploy is reading. So let's start deploying this on Dokploy. So first, you actually need to connect your GitHub. So let's select this and go into this. And if you have an organization that you want to connect, then select this option and then put the name of the organization. Or you can just do create GitHub app and just log into your app. After you log into your app, it will take you to a page like this. It will ask you to name your GitHub app. You can give this whatever name you want. After that, just click Create GitHub App. And after that, it will bring you back. It will say action required. Click this, okay? And then it will ask you something like this. Do you want to allow all repositories or only select repositories? I'm going to do select repositories. I'm not going to show you my repositories, but this first one is the one that we created. So I'm going to select this. And now this app will have access only to this repository. Okay, no extra repositories. But if you're just testing certain things out, you can just do all repositories. That's fine too. But if you're actually working with like a client or something like that, then this is more secure. After that, scroll down and do install and authorize. After that, your app is ready. Go back into your project, go back into MERN, and then you can select the server and client folders separately. I've already got the server folder open. I'm going to do client. Now, if you scroll down, you'll see more options. What we're going to do first, actually, is select this and just leave all of these as the default options. I'm going to save this. I actually want to tell you one more thing, which is the reason why we've left this as the default option is because if you go back into your MERN app, this was the main app and we are in the client folder. So every folder has a Docker file, right? So it is in the main area, not in some other folder, but in the main area of the client folder. That's why we're going to leave the default options as they are, because unless the Docker file that you want to target is in a separate folder, the main default option is fine. Okay, so Docker file, save this. For the client and for the server, we're going to do the same Docker file and then save. Okay, so this is done. Now I'm in my client side first. So let's set up the client first. So select your GitHub app, select the repository, select the branch it is on, and then keep it on push. On push basically means that this will redeploy your app as soon as anything in your GitHub repo updates will redeploy your app. Okay, so in the build path, this is important for your MERN stack. So here you need to select client. Okay, so here you need to put in client if you're setting up the client folder, okay, or the front end folder. So this is done. I'm gonna do save, okay. And next, I'm gonna set up the server. Same process. But this is the thing we need to change. So here I'm going to do server. The reason why I'm setting this up like this is if you go back, if I show you the repo in which our MERN stack project is, one folder is called client, which is the front end folder, and the other one is called server, which is the backend folder. So that is why we set it up like client and server. Okay, I'm going to save this. Now both of these are saved. Now for the client, I'm going to click deploy. I'm going to click firm. And now let's deploy the server. Now it's trying to deploy the server and it's done. So now you must be wondering, okay, both of these are done. How do I link these two? These are deployed, but they won't work. The main reason for that is that you haven't connected a backend with your front end. Okay, that has to be understood. Now to see our website live, we need to set up our domains. So before we do that, let's go back in and confirm a few things. Make sure your port for the front end, you know what that is. Mine is 4000 for this one. And in your Docker file for your client, it is also 4000. For your server, it is 4500. Okay. If you have some kind of setting like this, then add that here. And if in your environment variables, you have a variable called port, make sure that also is 4500. Okay. And you can add whatever port you want from 3001 to below 5000. Those ports tend to be free. Okay, so choose whatever port number you want. I'm just going with these to keep things simple. Okay, now that you have confirmed your ports, next what you're going to do is go in to your vite.config. So here what you need to do is make sure your target, okay, is set to your domain for your backend. Okay, so I'm using a subdomain, by the way. If you don't know what a subdomain is, it's basically the same domain name you've purchased. Just at the start, you add whatever name you want. I've added server to this, and then you add a dot, and then whatever the domain name is. You automatically create a subdomain. So mine is going to be this, and it's going to be /API, okay, in the sense that if I show you here, going into this, you're going to the backend domain name, and then you're targeting this specifically. And then whatever is in front of that, you can just automatically target, okay, by just adding this. If I show you, so here, if I want to target the backend, I'm just typing in /API to tell it that I'm targeting the /API route, and then I'm targeting the messages route here. Okay, so that's how this is working. Okay, and then you add preview and then allow host. Okay, and then you add the domain name into the allowed host section. Okay, one more thing here. So in your package.json, you're going to be targeting this command, right? That's going to be --host. And then you're doing this. This is just to make sure that you're going to the port 4000. Okay, because sometimes when you run this command, it doesn't work correctly and it goes to some other port, some kind of default port. So this is what you need to do. And actually, one more thing I wanted to tell you, that I noticed that I ended up making a mistake in this because I ended up adding start here, but we needed to add the preview command here. Okay, so previously I ended up adding start. You need to change that to preview if you did something similar to mine. Okay, because we're running the preview command, because this front end does not have a start command, it has a preview command. So just want to make that clear. Now that all of this is set up, right? If you change some things, then re-upload everything to GitHub. Okay, same commands: git add dot, git commit -m, then the message, then commit, then git push origin main. Okay, all those commands, just rerun those. And afterwards, what you're going to do is go back here, right? You are going to now add the domain for the backend. So if you're wondering where you get this, just go into overview, okay? Scroll down to the bottom in your account and you'll see hostname. So hostname is where you will see this default type of name for your VPS, okay? You can use that for testing purposes. I'm going to be using that. If you have an actual domain, then I've made a separate video on how to set up your domain. Basically set the domain up like that and then use that domain name like I'm going to show you right now. Go into your application. I'm on the client one for now. I'll go to the server one later, but you basically click add domain. And then here in the host, you just paste that domain name in. Then path is going to be /, leave this empty. Then scroll down. And then the port number for your front end is 4000. Okay, I'm going to do HTTPS. And then let's encrypt and then do create. And as you can see, it is set up this. You can click this and it's saying that this is correct. It is validated. And then the same thing for the server. Add the domain name, add the path, add the port number. And then we're going to turn on HTTPS. Now in the host, because this is the backend, you can't use the same domain name for the front end and the backend. So you're going to create a subdomain. To create a subdomain, it is very simple. Add whatever name you want, then add dot. That is it. Okay, I've just added server dot just to keep things simple. And then I'm going to scroll down and then I'm going to click create. I'm going to validate this. Yes, it's working. Okay. And now if I click this, yes, as you can see, MERN server is running. This is like the default message I ended up adding in the backend, okay, which means that my domain name is now connected to my backend. Now let's do the same thing for the front end. Yes, as you can see, it is working. And yes, it is connecting to my backend. Don't worry about this. This is going to be a separate tutorial. I'm going to show you how you can connect your MongoDB and your Postgres database in this. Okay, so if you go into projects and then go into MERN, if you go to create services, you have the database option here. Okay, if you click this, you'll see that you have all of these options. Okay, you can give it a name and all of these other things and then choose one of this and then you set it up. If you want to try it out yourself, that's fine, but I'm going to create separate tutorials on this. So I hope you like this tutorial. Like and subscribe to stay updated on the latest tutorials and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.